All right, guys, it's finally here. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson tonight, live at 8 o'clock Eastern on Netflix. Uh, this event is right up my channel's alley. When you think about all of the elements of it, the sports, specifically combat sports, but also the media portion on Netflix. So let's just talk about it. I'm also going to do a gambling preview and just kind of discuss everything about this fight. So obviously, when this fight gets announced, everyone thinks it's ridiculous. Mike Tyson's 58 years old. How it got sanctioned, I don't know. But I want to look beyond that because we all know that's ridiculous, and everyone's saying that. So let's push that aside and talk about the other elements of why this fight is actually very interesting. Number one, it's marketing genius. Even if you don't like Jake Paul, you have to admit this is genius marketing on his part. This is going to span every generation. You'll have people in their 50s and 60s who want to watch Tyson fight. You'll have people my age who want to watch Tyson fight. You'll have people who specifically want to watch Jake Paul get knocked out. And, obviously you'll have younger people, teenagers wanting to fight. And then specifically those teenagers will then ask their father, hey, can you throw it on? Can you throw it on? Let's watch it together. So between that, I think it'll do huge numbers. But beyond that, you also have the Netflix portion, which I think is the most interesting part of all of this, and is actually more interesting long term than the outcome of this fight, regardless of what happens. Having this fight on a Friday night at 8 o'clock, just after everyone gets home from work, it's on Netflix. It's not behind a pay-per-view paywall. I think that's going to make this gigantic. Everyone is going to text their friends. Even there are people right now who don't even know this is happening tonight who are going to be watching because they're going to get a text from their friends and they're going to throw it on, even if it's just for a few minutes at a time. But the data that Netflix is going to be able to pull for live sporting events going forward is going to be huge for them. I think this is a trial run. This is a test run for live sports, specifically for WWE. And I think that's really interesting. We have UFC coming up. The UFC contract with ESPN, I believe, ends next year. And so the bidding war is going to be huge. I believe UFC and ESPN signed that deal back in 2019. And since then, since the pandemic, the UFC is in a totally different place. Not only in the ratings and the money, but just like in general pop culture in the United States, it's so much more front and center. So this is a huge from the Netflix element. And then I guess let's just wrap it up from the gambling point of view. Let's talk about ways to bet this if you're a gambler. I think the safest thing to do is just to bet Jake Paul. Obviously, right now he's minus 240. Tyson's plus 185. Obviously not the smartest bet. We don't know. I'm not accusing anyone of a rigged fight. It's a real sanctioned fight. It's not an exhibition. This will count on Tyson's record, but you don't know what kind of backdoor agreements were made. They could have clauses in the contract to not throw headshots, not try knock each other out. Jake Paul maybe will carry him, saying, hey, I won't knock you out. I'll make sure you finish, but I'm going to win. Who knows? So I think if you want a safe bet, just bet on Jake Paul. He was minus 190 a couple days ago, so the money seems to be really pouring in on him. I also like the over. I bet the over minus 5.5. Over 5.5. I mean, I think the game plan is probably for Jake Paul to win by decision and to carry him. Although I am also nervous if this isn't a fixed fight and he just throws a bomb on Tyson that he can really hurt him bad. So I think the smartest bet is just to bet Jake Paul straight up. If you want to get a little bit more greedy, bet him by decision. Plus 260 is obviously way better odds than minus 240. But then you lose, or you have that huge risk of him getting knocked out, which could be really, really, could definitely happen. What am I going to say? So, in closing, I'm excited for this. I'm going to do a reaction to it. I think Paul is just going to win a decision. I think he'll land some big shots, but I cannot imagine that this is just going to be, again, I don't like saying rigged fights, but I just can't imagine, Tyson and his team agreeing to do this. I know it's for a lot of money, but I have to imagine they have some protections in the contract. And so my official prediction is Jake Paul by decision. So I bet that. I bet Jake Paul straight up. I bet the over 5.5. Those are my three bets. But I'm very curious to see, like I said, the spectacle, the announcing, the production from Netflix, and then obviously the icing on the cake for Netflix is they'll just be able to store this fight. They'll have it they'll double dip because they'll have the live event, but also they'll be able to just post it, and people watch it who don't watch it tonight will watch it tomorrow, the next day, and the next day it'll be easy to find. So this is really the future of TV. Is right now. This will be, I think, really will be like we'll look back on this. How people look back on House of Cards as like the beginning of streaming shows. We might look back on this as like the beginning of Netflix live event sports. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.